Why does Elon have such passionate fans? I think Elon Musk will go down as the most impactful person to improve human life in the 21st century. There are many other fans worldwide who would agree and may even say that I am not praising Elon enough. To some people, that sounds crazy. Some may not understand why Elon Musk has such passionate fans. I'm here to try to explain, at least a little bit, why we support him so much. I believe other supporters of Elon will agree with some of the points I make, and hopefully it will explain to those who are not sure what to think about Elon, why we support him in his endeavors, and even when he goes a little too crazy sometimes. In short, Elon works hard to do the right thing. That's it. At the most basic ground floor level, this is the most admirable about his work and his worldview. Although this is extremely simple, it is not easy to do at the scale he operates in. Oftentimes, we as individuals in society tend not to worry about doing something because we think someone else is responsible for that. This is a psychological concept called diffusion of responsibility. We see this play out in almost every aspect of our daily lives, from people not putting back their shopping carts because it's someone's job to do so, to a nation not doing enough to combat climate change because it's the government's job to take care of it. It's not until someone notices that not enough is being done and takes it upon themselves to lead the charge in making real change through many hardships. This has been a recurring theme through Elon's life. When researching his early life to find out where his determination came from, I had an interesting realization. Elon never had life all figured out how we like to think. We like to think, okay, the world's wealthiest man must have seen his life play out from an early age, so he was able to make every perfect move. This is what's so motivational and inspiring about Elon. He hadn't. He figured it out as he went. He made mistakes and he admitted it. And there were positive times in his life and negative times, but he stuck with it. That's the most important part. This is not to say that he's not an innovator, possibly the greatest we have had so far, but he figured everything out as he progressed, relying on his intuition and core values. He stuck to what he believed was the right thing to do, and he figured out the rest on the way, as everyone in life does. No one has it figured out from the very beginning. He has always been a nerd ever since he was a young child. This gave him the vision of an exciting and magical future full of technology that would help us out. He was also extremely smart. He went to school, got decently good grades, not the best, but he went on to study and pursue a dual degree program at the University of Pennsylvania. He received both a degree in physics and economics. When he was still in Canada, before he received those degrees, he interned at the Bank of Nova Scotia. In the summer of 1994, he interned for a Silicon Valley startup named Pinnacle Research Institute, focusing on electrolytic supercapacitors. These electrolytic supercapacitors are what pretty much made batteries of electric cars viable. Although he was already thinking about how sustainable energy was needed for the future, since we couldn't rely on oil and gas forever, he didn't have a specific company planned out yet or how he would be able to implement it in any business. So the idea of Tesla was not in his head just yet. However, both these internships did help plant the seeds that would later flourish into Tesla down the line. But it was not planned by any means. He is not a robot we like to think that has calculated every move. He thinks about it, but he makes mistakes and he makes decisions on the fly. He relies a lot on intuition, which many people do, and it's a skill that we should all learn. Elon typically works backwards from his mission statement. He figures out a company to finance his goals or his missions. His motivation is not to make money off the business itself, to accumulate money. This separates him from most of the wealthy people in the world. He doesn't start from a point of just wanting to get rich. He starts with a vision. How can I help others? And in this world, we need to start businesses in order to be able to help others. So he works backwards from that mission, and he finds a way to make it happen. This shows that he works passionately on what he thinks is the most important thing he can do at particular time, although maybe more ambitious than some other people's plans. Zip2 was his first company that he started with his brother, with modest plans to have the yellow pages, but online. In 1995, this was unheard of. The internet was not quite widespread as it is today. So in a way, he has always had a drive to do what other people think is crazy or impossible. When Elon and his brother Kimball sold the company in February 1999, Elon received $22 million. Elon was just 27 years old and already a multi-millionaire. Most people would have taken time to enjoy the success of their very first company. I know I would have taken at least a year to travel, maybe party with friends, celebrate with family. I mean, you're 27, and most people want to, quote unquote, enjoy their young years. Elon was more focused on his missions that would be lifelong missions. Now, he did try to live the life of a millionaire for a little bit, as I'm sure all of us would have thought that's the way to enjoy life. He did purchase a $1 million McLaren F1 supercar. I include this little detail only to highlight the fact that he is human with desires for nice things. It's not like he hates luxurious things. We all do. Having the best of anything feels great. But he then learned not to pursue that venue. That was a fruitless effort. Not everyone learns that. A lot of people numb themselves and believe that although $1 million is great, they will be happy when they have 10 million, when they have 100 million, they have 1 billion. He quickly found out at a very early age that was not the case. He would eventually sell the car in 2007. Just a month after he sold Zip2 and gained $22 million, he started a second business named X.com. He was not slowing down. At this time, his goal was to revolutionize the payments and financial systems, again, online. His new venture had a mission to help people, just like it always does. He wanted to help the general public to have easy access to financial tools. You can see a trend where he works to make the public have more access to control their own lives, not to rely on institutions. He provides the tools for you to make your own decisions. With X.com, you could open checking accounts, savings accounts, trade stocks, send money to others, etc. That was the mission of it, to make it easy to work with your money in whichever way you wanted to. As with all his businesses, Elon was hardcore about what they could achieve and worked insanely hard to achieve it as quickly as possible. There were a lot of headaches and chaos, but eventually X.com merged with another company called Confinity to form what we know today as PayPal. Then PayPal sold in October of 2002 to eBay. Another payday for Elon. He cashed in about 170 million after it was sold. Nonetheless, this did very little to slow him down, and again, he did not enjoy success for too much longer. In 2001, before he sold PayPal, while he was still working there, he began thinking about sending a greenhouse to Mars to get the public excited and interested in space travel again. He hoped that this would spark more motivation for people to support NASA and hopefully increase NASA's budget so they can keep innovating, take us back to the moon and further, one day to Mars. And while pursuing his goals, he ran into the concept of diffusion of the responsibility once again. Most people, including myself, thought that NASA, being composed of the most advanced group of space engineers, the smartest people on Earth essentially, was focused on making space travel cheaper and cheaper so that way it would become a commodity. This was not the case. NASA has always been part of the government and therefore has had to deal with political issues, which always slows down any kind of innovation. It was too expensive for NASA at that time to help Elon with his mission. And his second choice was having the Russians. Russians also showed they didn't care about his mission. They just wanted money. They wanted to extort him out of money. This is why right after he sold PayPal in 2002, Elon took it upon himself to make that innovation. He saw that everyone else was relying on someone else to make that innovation, but it was not happening quickly enough. So In the same year that he sold X.com, he diverted his attention and started SpaceX. So instead of putting his $170 million profits from the sale of PayPal in the stock market and retiring at the age of 31 and never having to worry about money ever again and living a cushy, slow, luxurious lifestyle, he decided to invest half of it in a space company in order to achieve his mission of traveling to Mars in order to improve people's lives. He had never even built rockets before, not at this scale. So this was a crazy idea. Many of his friends tried to convince him not to do it, to keep his money, because he came from nothing when he came to the United States. So why risk it in something that he was not knowledgeable in? He knew this risk. He has always stated that there was a extremely high risk that it would fail and that he would lose all his money. But his mission was important enough to try, no matter how hard it was. This is what motivates a lot of his fans. He's always willing to go all in on something that he believes is the right thing to do overall. This later turned out to be even crazier, since he then used the other half of his money to start Tesla just 2 years later, another venture that most people thought would fail. He knew this, but he was still willing to go through with it to accomplish his goals. At first, he didn't want to be CEO of Tesla, as he thought that SpaceX needed a full-time CEO. He still had some conventional thinking. This goes back to my earlier point that he didn't have everything figured out right away. Most of the things that he learned through failure and hardships. He always thought that he could only be CEO of one company at a time, as that company would need his full undivided attention. Therefore, for all the other companies that he started, he needed full-time CEOs in those positions. Unfortunately, this was because Elon wanted to focus on the actual product, not being the face of the company, not dealing with the day-to-day. He wanted to focus on being the head engineer, as he has always been. This changed as he saw that leadership was extremely important in these companies, just as much as the engineering was. He learned this through hardship. This is because he got ousted from Zip2 and X.com, which later became PayPal. When other CEOs took hold of the companies he started, they took a completely different approach to running those companies. They didn't like risks and always wanted a safe strategy, rather than Elon's bold and risk plans that needed extremely hard work and included disrupting the entire industry they were in. This is why Elon made the decision to remove Tesla's first CEO, Martin Eberhard, and take over in 2008. Elon had big plans for Tesla, and if anyone else besides himself was head of the company, Tesla would not take the necessary risks and would not have survived. He kept pushing Tesla to reach new heights through the introduction of the Roadster, the first ever product, to the Model S, the Model 3, and Model Y. All these products helped Tesla become profitable and destroy the risk of the company ever going bankrupt, as these products generated massive amounts of revenue. But Elon does not want a cushy company. He does not want his employees getting comfortable and taking it easy. This is why he decided Tesla should shift its focus to autonomous cars and AI. He's always going all in on the next technology. Using first principles thinking, he saw that not only could you use the same neural network to teach humanoid robots how to function and work like humans, but you can also utilize the supercomputers and data centers Tesla had at its disposal that they were using for the cars to train the Optimus robots. This would split the cost between the two products and would create a flywheel. He has been known to be too demanding, to be a jerk, to be an a-hole, to lose his cool. He isn't some perfect guy. He doesn't have everything perfectly calculated. He is not a smooth talker by any means. He has a hard time communicating his ideas and motives to the public. But deep down, he just wants to get things done, and he wants to do what he believes is the right thing to do. It's that simple. I know for a fact that he would have been able to make way more money if he went into Wall Street or any kind of finance. I can guarantee you that he would have made way more money if he went to Wall Street or bank. The internship at the Bank of Nova Scotia gave him the idea of starting X.com. He saw that he could have disrupted the banking industry way back then. He did benefit from X.com, but if money was his biggest motivator, he would have either started a new financial company or he would have stayed with PayPal as PayPal continued to grow. But that's never been his main motivation, as most of his detractors believe it is. He could have used his engineering knowledge to build weapons for the military. That's a huge money grab. Above all, he loves technology and how he can use it to improve people's lives. That's his main motivation. That's what drives him to keep grinding and dealing with people who want to see him fail. Elon is the world's richest man, but he's still out here working 100 hours a week at the age of 53. If you are misinformed about Elon by the mainstream news, or if you have a cynical view of the world overall, you have been misled. Bezos is retired, and Mark Zuckerberg is semi-retired. He's not putting in as many hours as he used to. They both have less billions than Elon. They have lost motivation because their motivation was never to change the world, and they never felt the responsibility of doing so. At this point, the billions, the number going up, is meaningless for Elon. His true motivation is the vision he has for the future, is to spread the human conscious mind through the stars. He typically finds that if you want a job well done, you must do it yourself. Larry Page's conversation with him worried the smart people weren't paying as much attention to the dangers of AI in the wrong hands. This is why he started the nonprofit named OpenAI in December 2015 alongside Sam Altman. Sam then later changed it to be closed source and for profit, once again hitting on that same theme that a lot of people are motivated by money. Sam was not in it to help humanity through an open source AI company, as Elon had started. He wanted to be richer, and this disrupted him. Once again, Elon trusted in the good of people, but he saw that very smart people like Sam, very smart people like Larry Page, the founder of Google, could do a lot of harm since their motivations were not aligned with those of the overall public. Therefore, Elon knew that he had to step away from OpenAI and start his own company, XAI, and to increase his efforts in the AI division of Tesla to combat these bad actors, these bad people. Not to convince them, because he tried to convince Larry Page and Sam Altman to do the right thing, but they were more greedy. They were motivated by their personal wealth rather than to do good for the public. So once again, Elon took it to his own hands to push for a good AI. In a way, it's a little bit funny because Larry Page, the co-founder of Google, had a conversation with Elon about what would happen if one day AI and robots took over the world. Larry Page called Elon a speciesist. Why? Because he preferred that the human race should remain in control and not robots. So he had a bias towards the human species rather than the robotic species. This shows how Elon is not in love with technology by itself. He is more in love with what it can do to help us. He may not be a very spiritual person, but he believes that there's something in our consciousness that is precious and that should be spread out throughout the galaxy, throughout the stars. This is why he wants to go to Mars, to make us, the human race, a race that's among the stars, not just in Earth in case something happens to Earth, but to spread our consciousness everywhere. Because deep down, we are a loving species, full of love and hard work and grit, and that should be something that we should spread. So in conclusion, Elon Musk's supporters may not have the same ambitions of creating humanoid robots or colonizing Mars, but all of his supporters have the ambition of doing right in the world and to stand for what's right, even in the face of detractors. We can all look towards Elon as inspiration. Doing the right thing is not easy, but it is necessary and it's worth the pain. This is why Elon has such passionate supporters.